Here's how to become so productive that it feels illegal. Back in the day, I wasn't that smart, I wasn't that hardworking, and I didn't get much done. But nowadays, I'm not that smart or hardworking still, but I'm getting more done in the morning than I used to do in 2 or 3 weeks. Because I understood a few simple principles about productivity, which I'm gonna go over today. These principles allowed me to get a perfect score in my GCSEs without even trying that hard and whilst working less than everyone else. Alright, numero uno. What actually is productivity? A lot of people use it as a fancy buzzword. They can put it in their YouTube titles and thumbnails, but they never sit down and actually define what it is. It's not how much you work, how long you work, what you feel about the work. It's not how many trees you plant in your forest app. It's simply this equation that I've not found a better alternative for. This is the best definition I found, which is simply output, also known as like the work that you actually get done, over time. That's it. And by the way, this can be applied to anything. If your goal is like grades, then it's amount of questions, amount of practices over time. If your goal is fitness, then it's like weight loss or muscle gain over time. If it's business, then it's money over time. Very simple. And our goal here is simple. We want to increase output whilst decreasing the amount of time. So we want to get as much done with as little time as possible. And so once I understood this simple equation, it removed a lot of the myths or like the limiting beliefs I had about productivity. For example, I'm guilty of this. I've bragged before about like working longer. Like, oh yeah, I worked 6 hours yesterday, I worked 8 hours yesterday. But the thing is, in the equation, the goal is to make the time less, not more. Because working longer does not necessarily mean I'm getting more done. If you look at the equation, true productivity is actually getting the same amount of things done, but in less time. And the reason that I write it as an equation is because there are multipliers to your productivity. These are things that help you, anything that basically helps you increase the output and decrease time is a multiplier. For example, sleep. This can be times by sleep. Why? Because sleep will get you more output in the same amount of time. Makes sense, right? Like if you have two people, one is sleep deprived, one is not sleep deprived, and you make them do the same work, the guy that's not sleep deprived will just do better. He will get a higher mark in the exam. He will do more practices in the same 1 hour of time, for example. They will get more done. So sleep is one. Another one could be like exercise, right? The guy that does exercise versus the guy that doesn't do exercise, the guy that's fit and healthy will always do better than the guy who is not. Generally speaking. You have diet. You have scheduling. You have spending time with friends. Basically, things that make you a healthy, natural human will pretty much always make you also more productive. So now that you understand this equation and also the multipliers, most people do the exact opposite. Think about it, most students, they increase the time as much as possible. They brag about how much time they spend working or quote-unquote working. And then they also remove everything else here. They spend so much time that they don't have time to sleep. They literally work through the night, and the next day when you come to school, you've probably had it before where you say, oh man, I only have 5 hours of sleep, and then another classmate goes, oh, 5 hours, that's nothing, I only got 3 hours. Like, why are you bragging about that? Okay, you win, right? This isn't like the suffering Olympics. You're gonna die sooner and your life is gonna be worse because you're sleep deprived. Nice. Anyways, back to the topic. Most people remove everything here and increase time so that they can try to output more, but actually they output less overall. So the goal here instead is to decrease time. The way that I work now is I decrease the time I work. I limit myself to only 1 or 2 tasks per day, and the rest of that free time you put into all of this. You schedule your day properly, you eat a better diet, you sleep more, you get some exercise, you spend time with friends, and so when you do go to work the next day, all of this acts as a multiplier so that you actually like working. And since you have such a healthy routine, you have a sustainable daily like work schedule that you can keep coming back to without feeling burnt out. And that's how you actually become productive with the productivity equation. Look, he's happy. He has a little smiley face. How could you not like him? Alright, the next way that you can become so productive that you get thrown into federal prison for 99.9999 years is by scheduling tasks correctly. So many people treat all tasks the same. You just write them in your schedule, you just put them one by one by one. And there's nothing wrong with that. But there's a better way to go about it. There are 2 types of tasks that I've identified. Open and closed tasks. Closed tasks are those that require a time limit. They're the ones that need you to have some pressure behind it. Compare this to open tasks where you want to have as much time as possible to complete as much as possible. This will have no time limit. It will just be you start and you just keep going till you run out of steam. So here's an example. If I sit down and write an essay, I want to have as much time as possible so I can think of creative ideas. If I sit down and do an art project, I want to have the whole afternoon booked out just for this art project so I can keep on going. Compare this to something like a math practice paper where you need a very strict schedule. You need a very strict start and stop. Why? Because you want to replicate the exam scenario, and in the exam, you have a very strict start and stop. And so there's such thing as the Zikarnik effect, where if you have a task that's scheduled later on in your day, for example, let's say I wake up and I know that at 2 p.m. I have a meeting to get to. For some reason, I don't know if you relate to this, at like 10 a.m. I'm already like mentally getting ready to go out already. I'm really mentally at the meeting already. I'm really thinking about that. And so I can't get into deep work at 10 because I know I have to stop soon so I can prepare for the next thing. That sucks. That kills your focus. That's how 2 p.m. meeting can ruin the whole morning and I can't get anything done now. So the way that I do it is if I need to have closed tasks, for example, study cycles, practice papers, revision, that's where I'll book it back to back to back to back. For example, these videos, I'm recording back to back. I've recorded a video before this already. It's the one where it's which one is it? Oh yeah, it's dopamine, why every single student should try dopamine detox, whatever the title is, right? So I'm doing all these closed tasks over and over and over again in the same session. Compare this to an open task where I want to have a whole afternoon and it's just one day is reserved for one task basically. So let's make this practical. Get out your to-do list or wherever you write down your tasks for the day, and for tomorrow you kind of know what task you're going to do, right? If you haven't written the to-do list for tomorrow, just write it down real quick. Then look at each task and just label it as open or close. You can put like a star, you can put O for open, C for close, you can whatever bro. You can put C for open, O for close if you want, it doesn't matter. Then you're going to organize it in the right way now. So if you have a very big open task, for example, you have an art project to do and you want to let the creative juices flow, why don't you just put it on another day? Or why don't you leave the whole morning and afternoon open for that? Then at night, when you have a bunch of closed tasks to do them back to back to back. And so this way you schedule so much more efficiently so that you avoid having one task that ruins your focus for another task. The third way to become so productive that you go to court and get sentenced by a judge to 1,000 years in prison for being too productive and also arson is by prioritizing volume. As in not quality over quantity, but instead quantity that leads to quality. So here's what I mean. Back in the day, when I started taking grades seriously, taking self-improvement seriously, I wanted to actually get better and improve. I did math in a very simple way. If I got a new formula that I need to practice, a new equation I need to practice, I would just take out the practice paper, do 1, 2, 3 questions, and then once I got it right, I finished. I was like, okay, I got it right, so that means I'm done. And then one day I was on YouTube and I saw a video showing how kids in China who are studying for the Gaokao actually study. And they do hundreds of problems. They do hundreds of questions. Even though on maybe the third one they got it right, they will continue to keep going. And so I realized that I was doing it till I got it right. They were doing it till they literally couldn't get it wrong. They did it so many times that it would be crazy for them to ever get it wrong in the exam scenario. And so that reset my expectations for how much volume I actually needed to do. And so especially when you're just starting in something, you're already worse than everyone else. So you have to do more reps to make up for it. It's kind of like Kobe Bryant, where in the summer, when he was in high school, I think he saw all the basketball players that was better than him, who had a higher chance to get in the NBA draft. And so he had a hit list of all the players that he had to take out. And so those players did one session a day of training. So during the summer, he did 2 or 3 sessions a day of training. And so over time, he got exponentially better and overtake them. And so he understood that he's already worse than them. He has a lower chance of winning than them. So he has to make up with reps. And so the thing is, if you work 2 times more or 3 times more, you don't just make 2 times or 3 times more progress. It's more like you make 10 times or 20 times more progress. And that doesn't make sense, right? If you do 1 session and he does 2 sessions, he should do 2 times better. No, he does 10 times better. Here is how. Let's draw a graph of work and how good you get at the thing. So this is your skill level and then this here is just time. So imagine someone that just works 1 hour per day. He goes up 1 hour, his skill rises quite steadily like this. Now compare this to someone that works 2 hours. Their gradient is basically 2 times more, right? And so is the gap here versus the gap here increases. Because if you only work 1 hour, then your gap will stay exactly the same. This gap here, it's all the same. You're going parallel. And if you're already worse than someone, you're not going to catch up to them. You actually need to put in more work so that you exponentially grow bigger. Another way that you can put it is like this. Imagine a guy that works 5 hours a day for a month. Another guy works 1 hour a day for a month. After the month, they both take like 1 week to rest. They come back and now they're sat in a room and they have to just do as much as possible in 1 hour. They have to do as many practice papers as possible, for example, right? This guy, the 1 hour guy, every single day for the past month, he's only worked 1 hour, so he can only really do 1 practice paper per session. So his baseline, his average is just like, okay, I'm going to do 1 practice paper. Compared to this guy, where he can do 5, 6 practice papers in 5 hours. And so when they sit down to work for that 1 hour, this guy can probably do 2 practice papers within an hour compared to this guy, because he's been doing so much more volume that he gets better at doing practice papers. He gets faster, he gets more proficient, right? And so if this guy can do 2 papers in 1 hour compared to this guy that does, I'm not even going to change marker, I don't care, 1 paper per hour, then this guy, not only does he work 5 times more hours, but if he gets 2 times per hour, then he actually makes 10 times more progress, because 2 times 5 is 10. And so that's, I just markered myself, but that is how working 5 times more can actually get you a 10 times multiplier. And so I really want you to imagine this. Imagine the other students in your class that are doing better than you. The other students in your school, like the top students, they're already doing better than you. Their 1 hour can produce 2 times more than your hour. And so if you do less hours total, you're never gonna catch up. And so the thing is, if they work 4 hours and each hour is twice as much as yours, you have to work 8 hours to match. And so once I had that realization, I was like, okay, it's just about the reps. It's about getting as many papers done. It's about getting as many questions done, because the only way I can win is off of this hard work now. Because people say work smarter, not harder, but that only works if you're competing against stupid people. If the people around you already have skill, if they're already working hard, if they're already smart, if they already found this video and they know the tactics and their hour is worth more than yours, then the only way you can win is off hard work. Especially if you're in a competitive environment. Like for me, I'm in Singapore, so like Singapore is one of the most competitive, strict schooling systems. Everyone's working smart, so you have to work hard. If you're a student on self-improvement and you enjoy the videos, if you like the tips and you want to take action and you want to win, check out the first link below. That's Ruff Academy, where I help students do exactly that. You get direct access to me, you get weekly Q&A calls. It's fun, you get like courses, you get all my programs, you get all my copy-paste blueprints for success and how I got my straight A's. Everything is there. Check it out. There's more information once you click on that link. So yeah, if you like the video, give it a thumbs up. If you don't like the video, give it a thumbs up. See you next video. Give me a kiss. Mwah. Take action. You thought I was gonna forget to say take action, didn't you? Dumbass. Take action.